would like to welcome all the audience who are attending our forum. In today's forum, we will be discussing why are dissatisfied Malaysians criticizing the country's education system. I'm Ms. Prabha, the moderator of the forum. I'm excited to be joined by our 5 panelists who will be weighing in on the topic of discussion. First, we have Ms. Kalevani, a teacher in SJKT Masai. Next, we have Ms. Parvati, a lecturer from Institute Pendidikan Guru, Campus Hilmu Has. Ms. Mary, who is also a lecturer from UNITA. Ms. Tilakavati from the Curriculum Division Officer, and finally, Ms. Chandra as a parent. Thank you for participating in our forum. Before we begin, let me look our current education system. According to Sufyan Hussain, 2004, the field of education has always undergone significant transformation with the needs of globalization. The transformation led to changes in the policy and direction of the field of education. In the context of Malaysian education system, the Malaysian Ministry of Education also set the direction of the national education system based on the national education philosophy. Things can be seen through the Malaysian Education Development Plan 2013 until 2025, which is seen as a systematic plan towards improving the quality of the country's education system. In general, there are several directions that are focused in Malaysian Education Development Plan 2013 until 2025. The direction of Malaysian education system as outlined in the Malaysian Education Development Plan 2013 until 2025 provides equal access to international quality education. In the regard, the MOE as improvement to implementation of curriculum at the primary and secondary school levels. This can be proven through the revision of the primary school standard curriculum KSSR and the secondary school standard curriculum in 2017 to ensure that the curriculum in the country is aligned with the education curriculum in developed countries. The KPM also improved aspect of assessment and assessment through the integration of element in high level of thinking skills by 2016. Reading, mathematics, science skills are also benchmarked according to the international assessment standards such as the Trend International Mathematics and Science Study and the Program of International Student Assessment. In essence, improving the quality of the education system in line with the international education standard in on of the direction of the country's education. Although there have been many reforms and development in the country's education system, some people are still not satisfied with these changes. There is always criticism from various sides. The Malaysian Education Blueprint launched in 2013 is the government promise to continuously improve the education system. At its core, the blueprint aims to equip Malaysian students holistically and ensure students are able to fulfill their potential. The blueprint provides ways to education sector should improve. It outlines 5 system aspirations, 6 students aspirations and 11 shifts of transformation to support the education reform. But issues in education are always disputed. Come on, let's see what issues are shared by our panels today. Let us invite Ms. Kalaivani, a teacher in SJKT Masai, to give her opinion.
Okay, thank you to our moderator, Ms. Prabha. Okay, I'm a teacher from SJKT Masai. As a teacher, I encountered certain issues in Malaysia education system which make Malaysians feel dissatisfied. Firstly, there is too much focus on academic performance, leading to an exam-oriented approach as a measure of intelligence. Even if an exam-centric system is the best way to go, The syllabus and the examination structure written by Ministry of Education are terribly flat and misguided. The lack of a clear learning objectives that should have been defined clearly makes the learning program foggy not only to students but the teachers who were clearly makes the learning program starts to try an underlying structure to the syllabus. As for the exams, there is a little critical thinking required to score well. One only needs to spend hours absorbing every word in the textbook or tuition notes if the students were lucky enough to afford extra tuition classes and memorize the text to score exceedingly well in exams. These go for nearly every core subject being examined. What is born from this system is a generation of students who are unable to think critically on issues. They are left unable to cope up with the intellectual demands of tertiary education. They see, but they do not observe. They read, but they do not understand. Thus, they become very narrow minded and fearful of the prospect of having to think for themselves. Development of online learning in schools has already started when the MOE introduced the Smart School. It was then extended to all schools through School Smart, subsequently introducing the use of Frog virtual learning environment and now the digital learning platform. Early stages of this use it is very limited and not all teachers use it. Most teachers use the online learning platform as a repository for students to obtain learning materials. MOE also conducts various courses to provide teachers with skills in using digital learning platforms as well as building teaching materials. But several challenges of online teaching have been identified in implementing teaching and online learning. The level of internet accessibility is a major challenge in the process implement online learning, teaching and learning as well as concern over the risk of large education gaps between urban and rural students. 65% national primary schools are in rural and remote areas. Backward internet infrastructure will have difficulty penetrating rural areas and have difficulty maintaining access to goods and services such as online education. Students from low income families also face many obstacles in pursuing learning using computers. This issue in education system makes only students with computers and internet service unable to upgrade themselves, while students with low income background unable to reach to current technologies. As far as I concern, the Dual Language Program (DLP) is an initiative by government to empower Bahasa Malaysia and strengthen English in schools. This program allows schools to have the option to teach maths and science subjects in either Bahasa Malaysia or English. But now, teaching science and maths in English slowly withdrawn in vernacular schools. Vernacular schools require teachers to teach science and maths in their mother tongue. This creates issues in vernacular schools where parents dissatisfied on the sudden changes. This is because it will affect students' English proficiency. Teachers who well worked teaching both subjects in English now lack confidence to conduct teaching in mother tongue. That's all from me. As a conclusion, issues in education system need to take in consideration of MOE to get holistic education for all group of students regarding religious and background as Malaysia entitled to be Satu Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kalevani. According to her, she said that too much focus on academic performance leads to an exam-oriented approach as a measure of intelligence. This system produces a generation of students who are unable to think critically on issues. They are left unable to cope with the intellectual demands of the tertiary education. Besides that, online learning in school are not utilized by all the students, especially students in rural areas. Other than that, The dual language program in vernacular school not fully supported by the parents. These are the issues stated by Ms. Kalaivani. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Parvati, a lecturer from Institute Pendidikan Guru Campus, Hilmu Has, to provide her opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Prabhavati. Good day to all my friends. As a lecturer from a teaching institution, I think it's true that without knowing the fact will affect our credibility as a country, because the education is the backbone of a sovereign country. The first issue is that students who do not get the major they are interested in the university are forced to aspire to become teachers by force from their parents. Students choose the Department of Education solely to take the teaching diploma. These issues encourage them not to appreciate the education system they learn. The Malaysian Institute of Teacher Education is a higher education institution that trains prospective primary school teachers. The students do not master the knowledge, understanding, and teaching skills. Then the concept of the education system, it will be difficult to produce competent educators. In addition, the Ministry of Education often makes many changes in the education system, causing lecturers to be confused as to which one to follow. The causes educators to lack the caliber to teach students about the education system in Malaysia. The changes made are very difficult to educators to conduct their lectures. Sometimes these things tend to interest educators to teach and put a lot of pressure in their daily life. Naturally, the learning system in Malaysia is always changing, and the victims are students and goals of the change. If there is another change, it means that the policy introduced before the faculty effort. The next issue is effect, effective administrative work, the either the purpose of delivering training. The heavy workload affect their preparation in teaching. The interest in attending the situation will be stunted. Educators a personal problem. Educators are burdened with a heavy workload but little reward, and students who are increasing. These issues affect student achievement if educators are often tied to the work assessment which are unreliable and not appreciate just their trainers' understanding and capability. On job training, real situation scenario will serve better rather just lecturer alone. Different abilities and different background of student will make the trainer to understand the situations better. As a lecturer, I have to recreate this type of situation to make trainers alert of the current scenarios in schools. Don't have culture and active. That's all from me. As a conclusion, issues in education system need to take the consideration of government to get holistic education all group students. Thank you to give the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation, Ms. Parvati. As a lecturer from a teaching institution, she said that drastic changes in the education system confused the lecturers and put a lot of pressure on them in their careers. Besides that, some became teachers because of their parents' interests. Sure, they do not appreciate the education system. Okay, let's hear from another lecturer from UNITA, Miss Mary.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. A very good evening to Ms. Prabha and all the panelists. I'm so glad to be one of the guests here to deliver my opinion in our forum today. As a university lecturer, I think investing in educational activities means we are investing in the development of the country. Power to mobilize various professions and job sectors that the country needs. The issue of education is very important for every human being to build a civilization that consists of a highly cultured, knowledgeable, and ethical society. Every human being has the right to get a perfect education to shape the human values and productivity of a country, regardless of gender, religion, and race. There are some actions by the Malaysian Ministry of Education that are seen as inappropriate and than solutions. The first issue is the repeal of UPSR and PT3. This action by the Ministry of Education has caused a lot of confusion among teachers and the community, especially parents. Teaching and learning for examinations purposes with teaching and learning for continuous assessment required and are not yet skilled with the change in teaching approach to fully complement the practice of classroom assessment. This abolition is seen to interfere with the students' learning focus, and parents also lose control in increasing their children's learning motivation. It is clear that teachers are also not fully prepared for the classroom assessment with too many students in the class, many and dense syllabuses, and no autonomy in doing assessments. I think this abolition should be phased in. UPSR and PT3 abolition in a hurry and the implementation of classroom assessment PBD, which is not robust, has become a big issue for our country's education system. Second issue I would like to discuss is the student dropout issue. The Ministry of Education pays close attention to the guidelines with the aim of bridging the educational gap between urban, rural and rural communities to prevent children from dropping out of education. All these groups of children are given and provided free and quality education in all fields by introducing various initiatives such as scholarships, schooling assistance, including supplementary food plans. However, the issue of children dropping out of education still occurs and is discussed. Among the factors that cause these dropouts are the family's socio-economic level, the influence of the family's socio-economic background based on household income, parents' occupation, parents' level of education, and location of residence. In conclusion, the national education system needs to look at the transformation of the approach to coincide with the local needs, taking into account the culture. The education gap can be achieved through continuous efforts and commitment from all parties, especially parents, government organizations, NGOs, community groups, and investors. In the meantime, The Ministry of Education not only need to pay attention to the teaching and learning process of students, but also the welfare and social needs of students, especially in rural areas. The third issue that I would like to discuss is the issue of teachers who teach subjects that are not optional or outside the field. Education in this country is a continuous effort to produce balanced people. To achieve this goal, the government formulated several strategies. This includes producing education graduates at institutions of higher education. This effort aims to prepare knowledgeable and quality teachers. The strengthening of the national education philosophy as a foundation that underlies the education process requires continuous reform. Requirement in interim teachers by the State Education Department under the Malaysian Ministry of Education does not fully follow the specialization option of education graduates, but rather according to the available teacher vacancies. However, not all of them will teach according to the specialization taken during their studies. According to some graduates, there is a situation where academic student graduates who do not attend religious schools are assigned to teach Islamic education when they report in school. In addition, some others had to teach English subjects, MUET, even though they only get band 2 in MUET during their university studies, while some others had to teach. They described the situation should not happen. A teacher who is not skilled in a field that has never been studied in the university had to teach the subject. How are they going to teach? This also causes abuse to the teacher. This will harm the students in addition to the quality of the education they receive, not being able to meet their needs. The Malaysian Ministry of Education should think of an immediate initiative by speeding up the placement of education graduates according to their respective options, so that the future of students' education in schools is not gambled away by hiring teachers who do not follow their options. That's all my opinion for today. I'm passing back our discussion to you, Ms. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Mary. A lecturer from UNITA, she said that many teachers are confused and are not yet skilled with the changes in teaching approach to fully complement to practice of classroom assessment. This abolition of UPSR and PT3 interfere the students' learning focus, and parents lose control in increasing their children's learning motivation. Now, I would like to call Ms. Tilakavati, Curriculum Division Officer, to weigh in.
Thank you to Ms. Prabha. Good day to all. As a Curriculum Division Officer, one of the reasons Malaysians who are not satisfied criticize the country, the education system is because of the level of mastery in the field of reading, which is very prevalent among students. The problem of not being able to master reading skill among students has been taken seriously by all. Reading skills are very important aspect. If a student has a good reading skill, then the student can easily acquire and improve knowledge in a various field. Accordingly, the basic skill that has been taught in the school since ages ago is mastering of the skill of reading. Educators agree that reading is the most significant indicator of academic achievement. However, despite of the emphasis placed on the skill, until now there are still students who cannot master the skills. This situation cannot be taken lightly because in this era of globalization, with sudden changes in all aspects of life, Education continues to play a role not only to educate those who are literally but also play a role in educating our young generation in aspect of identity, culture, moral value and manner. Failure of student to read well often causes difficult for the student to understand the content of the lesson learned. Students who has a reading problem are also found to have problem mastering in all other subjects. By mastering this reading skill, student achievement in subject such as mathematics, English, science is also affected. Interest and motivation are very dominant and play a role in building the habit of reading. In addition, encouragement and interest cultivation need to be included by teacher, parent and local community. A high interest in the reading allows the individual to success in his life. Students who are weak in mastering reading skill will face various psychological impact. Students who are weak and not good at reading will be removed by their friends, causing the student to feel isolated and not cared for, causing them to have no interest in learning. I found that students who are weak in reading always feel interfere among their friends because they know that they do not have the same ability as their friend. Because they can't read, these students is lazy to learn, maybe because they have tried too much and finally they feel lazy to try. Students who are weak in reading are also less motivated to learn than students who are good in reading. In my opinion, the teacher responsibility in the teaching and learning process is really heavy because the teacher is not only responsible for giving experienced student in the subject at all, but it also aims to shape the student into an excellent student. Reading is not limited to a teacher only. Textbooks are provided for all the subject. That means every subject teacher should also be a reading teacher. That's all my opinion. Now I pass this to Miss Prabha. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tilakavati. According to her, the issues that she points out here is that a lack of reading habits leads students to unable master the skills and knowledge. Now, I would like to call Ms. Chandra Mogini to share her opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Prabha. Good evening to all. I'm so happy to be one of the guests here. Myself, I'm Chandra Mogani. As an educated parent, I would like to share my opinion regarding this topic of the National Educational System, Education Acts, and challenge of the multicultural society. The best way to revamp our educational system in Malaysia is to start with the primary school. Very strong emphasis should be placed on the 3R with reading, writing, arithmetic. The 3R are the foundations of education. Primary education should be spent on building up the student educational foundation. A student with a strong foundation in the 3R would be able to progress very fast because their language ability enable to acquire knowledge with the lesser effort. In the past, education was the based on the 3R. Then, the many educational ministers have begun to introduce our subjects such as history, moral studies, and science, which they think are very important. They dilute and muddle up the educational priority of foundation building. No doubt, those subjects include could be important later on in life, but they could have been postponed to the secondary schooling. In case the subjects mentioned should easily to incorporate as part of a language learning. In the process of learning the language, a natural phenomena such as a photosynthesis, a historical event such as Merdeka, moral issues such as integrity and justice could be learned indirectly. It's a boring to emphasize on a grammar alone in the mastery of the language. As a parent, it really opens up my mind to think out of the box of what should be done to improve our educational system. One more issue that I like most is regarding on the PBSMI issue that really ought until now. Our educational system keeps changing from Malay then English, then change back to the Malay for the teaching science and mathematics. This process of changing is a simple for government authority, but then just think of the suffer of the student and the teachers itself. Of course, for the parents also. They need time to adapt and get comfortable with the changing. I do agree on the idea of why don't we strive to make it easier for them by teaching in English classroom and science in science classroom in the language of their choice. Why can't we just let children learn into the language they are most comfortable with and armed with a love and appreciation for the science? I will be able to overcome the language as then when they are reach it. This is because students will be more enjoy learning in their favorable condition. Okay, that's all from me. As a conclusion, my wish to the Malaysian educational system is for Malaysia education can give a student a more organized education and equipped with the proper knowledge and tools to give a student the education. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandramogini. She said that 3R are the foundations of education. These 3R help the students to acquire knowledge easily and faster. The students will be more enjoy their learning when there is no language barrier. In conclusion, all the issues stated in education need to be looked more seriously and deeply. Education is the backbone of a country in forming a holistic human capital that can contribute to the well-being of the country. The Malaysian Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education need to design a quality and world-class education to produce a highly educated and skilled generation. The issues presented by our panels today need to be considered and find out the solutions to create a quality education curriculum. Through the commitment of all KPM members outlined in the Malaysian Education Development 2013 until 2025 can be achieved easily. I would like to take this opportunity to once again express my gratitude to all our panelists for their participation in this forum. Thank you to all the audience for listening. Have a nice day. Thank you.